Let's bring in Keith Fitz-Gerald. Keith, we see the futures moving lower now, and we've seen this in Asia earlier today and in Europe. How do these protests play out? You don't see Beijing bending to anyone, but how does it play out, do you think?
Well, I think this is going to be very, very interesting. This is going to be potentially the most serious uprising since Tiananmen Square. I think that it's going to roil global production chains. It's certainly going to roil companies like Apple or Tesla or other Western manufacturers that have long been involved in mainland China from a manufacturing standpoint.
You know, the one thing that Beijing could do here, I think they were going to start easing off on their COVID lockdowns in April of next year, believe it or not. They could move up that time to try and appease the protesters. That could happen, and that would be probably best all around. But do you see Beijing doing that?
No, I don't. And I tell you what, I've got a lot of experience inside mainland China. The one thing that Xi Jinping will not tolerate above all else, Ashley, is civil unrest. So it doesn't matter what the people say, how they protest, what they do. They're building huge lockdown and quarantine facilities. Nobody's going to knock Xi Jinping off his game because the one thing they don't want to do is lose control. So I think it's going to roil markets for quite some time to come. But again, most of it's going to be one of these things for Xi Jinping, not the impact that the West is hoping for.
So as that plays out, what do you think about a Santa Claus rally this year?
You know, absent that, I say actually the economy's in pretty decent shape. We've got relatively strong, well, record earnings or record spending. Excuse me, I haven't had enough coffee yet, Ashley. Record retail spending on Black Friday over the weekend, Cyber Monday coming up. I think that bodes well. People have just had it with having had it. They want this market to go forward. So a lot of the buying we're seeing over the last couple weeks is good.
Well, what are you buying right now?
Well, I typically like to look for chaos as an opportunity, so I'm going to be looking, funny enough, to Apple and Tesla this morning. Maybe later in this week, if the situation continues to magnify in the headlines, those things are going to be on sale. They're going to survive this. China, who knows?
Yeah, individual stocks as opposed to sectors right now, really a stock picker's market?
I think so, because buying an index or a fund, Ashley, is a lot like buying cable television. You got to pay for the channels you don't want to get the ones you do. Buying an index fund or an ETF is the same thing.
I love it. Great analogy as always. Keith Fitz-Gerald, thank you for joining us this morning as we debate the impact of what's going on in China, the protests over the COVID lockdowns, the impact.
Hi, it's Keith here. Thanks for checking out today's highlight clip. What'd you think? Did I make sense? Is there something you'd like to add? Make sure you leave a comment down below, and of course, click subscribe to keep up right here on YouTube, or sign up for the email newsletter at the link below. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram for my real-time thoughts on markets, analysis, and a whole lot more.